What's up, friends? Welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited that you're here today because today I'm talking about my birth story and I'm so excited. Funny story, I actually recorded this a few months ago when I was 3 months postpartum. I'm now almost 7 months postpartum, and I accidentally deleted the videos. I formatted the card that they were on because I thought I had them backed up. Like, I even had a folder on my hard drives with the name, my birth story, but somehow the videos weren't in there. I formatted it because I wanted to take videos for Christmas, and they all disappeared. So, love that for me. Tried to recover them. It didn't work, so it's fine. I can just tell it over again. It just kind of sucks because it was so fresh then, but it's fine. I actually told my birth story to my friend 3 days after I gave birth. I explained the whole thing to her, and I have it screen recorded because I did it on an app called Marco Polo where we talk to each other video wise, and so I had the whole thing screen recorded, rewatched it this morning, and yeah, so I have refreshed my mind and we can talk about it. So let's go ahead and get started. Right before the birth. So I actually have this video that I recorded right before my 37-week doctor's appointment, I believe, where I was kind of talking about all of the stuff that I might have to go through and might have to endure about birth. And the reason being is because at my 36-week appointment, I was told that Beckett was breech. His head was right here, and that kind of scared the crap out of me. And I don't know, it was really scary at first, but we spent the next week until my 37-week appointment trying to decide, okay, what do we want to do? Do we want to try to flip him because the doctors can do that, or what do I feel comfortable with? And C-section, of course, was on my mind and scared the living crap out of me, and I was I don't know what to do. And so anyways, long story short, I have a video that I'm gonna insert here, and it basically just shows you how 1 week I can go from terrified and so emotional and crying because I have no idea what to do to feeling complete peace from God. And we spent the whole week praying about it and all of this stuff. So we're gonna play that right now so that you can just kind of get an idea of how I was feeling pre-birth and pre-planned C-section. So let's do that now. I just had to start this because I'm sitting here trying to sing some worship music, and I feel like I need to record how I'm feeling right now because I want to remember it, and maybe it'll encourage some of you. I feel so confident going into this appointment. A little backstory: Hunter and I went to the doctor last Thursday when I was 2 days shy of 36 weeks, and we're told that Beckett is breech, and that basically we needed to make another appointment today, which is the next week on Wednesday, to see if he has flipped on his own or not. And if he hasn't flipped on his own, that we would need to have an appointment to do a version tomorrow on Thursday. And last week when we were told that news and we went into the ultrasound and we were told that he was breech and that there was a possibility of a C-section, it was overwhelming, and we were both scared, and I was in tears, and it was just a lot of emotion. And now that night, we'll go back to that night. That night I prayed that the Lord would give me peace and courage and strength. And we told our parents first, and they were praying for us. And then the next day I told a few friends, and throughout the weekend we told a few friends. But the next morning I woke up and my first prayer was, Lord, give me peace, give me courage, give me strength, give me comfort. Wrap your arms around me and Hunter and just give us a peace, and knowing that your will be done. And at that point I was fully surrendering
this entire thing to the Lord, because I had, the day that we found out that there was a possibility of C-section or whatever, I had this feeling of like being stripped away, of like not being able to do like a birth naturally, and that was, it just felt like I was being stripped of like something that me, like I as a woman am supposed to do. And it was like those feelings were gone within 24 hours. I know that I had people praying over me and over Hunter, but the next night me and Hunter went to get dinner, and we were having a conversation, and it was like we both were just like, you know, it doesn't matter what happens. Like it truly does not matter, because whatever it is, the Lord is going to keep him safe, and we just want him to come into the world the safest way possible. And we just both had such a peace about it, and I didn't realize it until he was on the phone with someone and said those words out loud, and I was listening, and he said, you know, we just have peace about whatever happens. And I realized that it was straight from the Lord. And since then, Hunter and I both have just been like giddy, because like, even though it's unknown and I might not need a C-section, I mean, I truly don't know at this point, we both are just so giddy, because we're looking past like how he's gonna get here, and we're just more focused on like him being here and wanting to meet him so badly. And I literally was trying to pray on the way to this appointment, and it, like, I don't even want to pray, like, and I literally prayed that. I was like, you know, I don't even want to ask for anything, Lord, like, just thank you for giving me peace and courage through all of this, and thank you for giving me like strength through it all. And the same with Hunter. And just, I was like, I'm at this point, like, I'm so thankful, and I'm so like, I'm filled with so much joy that I genuinely, like, I can't imagine it going any other way than the Lord's way. And I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if he's going to allow Beckett to flip, or if he's going to come out from C-section. I have no idea. But it's so crazy that I have such a peace and a joy in all of this and going to this appointment. I feel like I should be like terrified in a way, but I'm not. I'm like giddy beyond belief, and I'm excited for this appointment. Like, we're gonna get to know if tomorrow I have to go have the version done, or if he's flipped, or, you know, like, I don't know. It's just unknown, and normally unknown scares me, but the Lord has taken away all of my fear in all of it, and I just literally cannot do anything except for say thank you to him, because I'm not afraid of what happens. I know Hunter's not afraid. We're going to go into this, and we're going to be excited regardless of how we're told he has to come into this world, and I'm really excited about it.
Now you kind of have an idea of how I was feeling after or around that appointment, and we ended up planning our C-section at 39 weeks on August 2nd with the doctor that I wanted, which was amazing. And so yeah, I ended up having a planned C-section, and it was at 1 p.m. in the afternoon on that day. So the morning of my C-section, I woke up and I was nervous, but the night before, me and Hunter like laid in the bed together, and he prayed over us, and like, it was one of the sweetest moments, because it was like, God is bringing this to fruition. Like, this is what we prayed for, and even though it's not ideal and it's not what we thought it was going to be, like, I'm not actually going through labor and delivery, this is, God's going to use our story. And so the next day I woke up, and I was like trying to get the house ready and just walking around trying to like picture the fact that I was gonna have a baby soon, like that I could actually hold. It was crazy. It's just one of those weird things, like you can't picture holding the baby that's in your tummy until like it actually happens. And anyways, it was a really good morning of me and Hunter just like relaxing and like getting the house ready and like building anticipation. And so we had to be there at 11, so we got there to the hospital at 11, and we went inside and we basically checked in like it was a hospital. It's kind of weird, but I like walked in and we were like, we're here for a C-section. And we were led up to a room where we basically just like signed these papers and all this stuff, and then immediately I was taken to the room where you go pre-C-section. And so I was taken there and I was told to get undressed and like to wipe myself down with these like cleaning cloths or whatever. And I actually got some stretch marks like my last 2 weeks, like 2 or 3 weeks, around like 37, 38, 39 weeks is when I started getting stretch marks. And so they had already been like itching and stuff, but when I say that cleaning stuff, I literally had to sit here and like rub it on my belly for like a long time, and it itched and was stinging so bad. And I was like, I don't know if this is normal or not, but I didn't say anything because I was like, well, I had to do it, like it doesn't really matter if it's normal. But it itched and stung so bad. And anyways, I was like laying in the bed and I was like, Hunter, I'm itching so bad because my stretch marks itch and now this stuff on me is itching. And so I have really sensitive skin, so it makes sense. But anyways, we just like laid there, we both had our headphones in and we just chilled, and we listened to the baby's heartbeat on the monitor, and it was just really surreal. And so we did that for like an hour, and I was a little nervous, but once again, like I was filled with so much peace. And so I eventually was rolled into the OR, and I had to go in there by myself. Hunter wasn't able to go in there with me yet. And the first thing I noticed, one, it was freaking cold in there. Like it was so cold. And they like rolled me in there, got me up on this metal table, and you know, I'm like basically naked, so like my butt is on this metal freezing cold table, and I was like shaking because I was so cold. And I was like, oh my god, it's so cold. And the girl was like, okay, we'll get you a blanket, because they have like warming blankets. And so I think they like took my blood pressure and they put my legs in like the clotting things to keep you from like having blood clots. And they brought the blanket over and put it on me, and I was like, okay, what is this doing? It was like not big enough to cover a lot of me, and I was like, I'm still really cold. Well, anyways, had that on me, started to like get a little more like, what is happening? And then the anesthesiologist comes in and he's like, okay, time for your spinal. And they had actually come into the room. I had the doctor come in and the anesthesiologist come in while we were like chilling before in the previous room, and just kind of like talk us through like what the spinal was gonna look like and like what the surgery was gonna look like and all of that stuff. So he was like, all right, time for your spinal. And so of course, like the nurse is in front of me, and I have broad softball shoulders. Like this is me relaxed. This is me relaxed. So she's standing in front of me and she's like, okay, relax your shoulders. And I was like, she was like, relax your shoulders. Like, what do you mean, like hunch over? Like, what are you asking me to do? Like, I have big shoulders. And so anyways, that started to stress me out because I clearly was doing it and she kept saying it over and over, and that stressed me out. And then all of a sudden they like stick the spinal in right where like mid lower back. And I don't know if you've had your ears pierced by a friend before, but you know, you have like layers of cartilage in your ears, and my friend actually pierced one of my piercings right here. And I remember when she did it, it was like a 1, 2, 3, and it had to like push through like 3 layers of cartilage. Okay, so my spinal literally felt like it was going like 1, like 1, 2, 3, and then like had to go through like layers, and it hurt. Oh my gosh, it was so, it was painful. It felt like, I don't know, there's got to be a tool out there that's like a circle with like little spikes on it. It felt like that, just like jabbing into my back. And that's when I started to panic a little bit because that hurt. And then she had stressed me out, and then all of a sudden I felt a warm sensation go down my left leg. And like from there, it was like they immediately started moving 90 miles a minute. It was like they whipped my legs up on the table, they laid me down, they put the drape over me and everything, and then they like started going to town and like touching me. And like all this time, like my body's starting to go numb, and like I genuinely did not know what I was gonna feel like, but the spinal that I pictured in my head was me feeling like my body was non-existent. But it was not like that. It was literally like my body was paralyzed, and that was terrifying for me. I have never been in the hospital, so I have never been I've never been hooked up to an IV or anything ever in my life. So this was very new to me, and that's when I really started to panic, because I felt my body, like it just felt heavy and lifeless. And I was like, oh my God, I'm never gonna move again. Like that's how I really started feeling. And then of course, like they're mashing on my belly and stuff, like, can you feel this? And then one of the nurses was like, can you feel your toe, or can you move your toes? And like, I was like, no, like I literally could not move anything. Like I couldn't feel anything. I just felt like a weightless, lifeless human. And she was like, oh no, it's fine. It was a trick question. It's not, you're not supposed to be able to move it. And I was like, why are we joking? Like, I was like, that stressed me out more. And then finally Hunter got to come in, and he asked me like how I was doing, and I was like, I'm good, like I'm good. And I was laying there, and Hunter comes in, and like he's got on like the hairnet and the like scrubs and mask and all that stuff, and he just sits beside me and holds my hand, and we just watch. And he basically watched the entire C-section. He had a fun time doing that. And so about 10 to 15 minutes, I was pretty okay. I mean, I was no joke. Like, Hunter had brought me headphones, so I was like listening to music, and I was like trying to like relax. But when you're in that situation, like it's hard to relax. And so anyways, I got to see Beckett come out. So they dropped the drape whenever I was watching, or whenever they were taking him out. So they dropped it about 10 to 15 minutes afterward, and he was out, and it was so cool. And the thing that sucks about like what I had to go through is I did not get to hold him immediately. They had to take him over to the like scale, and immediately Hunter walked over there and took pictures, because I told him, I was like, I want to know what's going on. Like, I want you to take pictures for me so that I can see it. And so I was laying there by myself starting to get stitched up, and I didn't know that the longest part of the surgery was going to be me getting stitched back up. So I'm laying there by myself, and I am like, like I can't even explain how I felt. But eventually they got Beckett like clean, his diaper on him and everything, wrapped up, swaddled, and they brought him back over to me, and I just like started crying. I already had some tears, because you know, the panic situation. But they showed him to me, and I was just like, that's my baby. And I started crying, and then Hunter sat down, and they handed him to Hunter, and Hunter was in tears. And like, just watching him be a dad was the sweetest moment probably of my entire life, was watching him like grab Beckett and just hold him there while I was still having the surgery. And so for a moment it was like I forgot what was going on, and it was like so sweet. And so I got to watch them, and thankfully one of the nurses, she was videoing a lot, so I actually have a lot of video. But from that moment on, they eventually like took Beckett back so that they could like do whatever they do, and Hunter was laying there with me, and all of a sudden I started shaking like uncontrollably, like from my chest up. I couldn't feel anything from about here down. So from here down I felt paralyzed. And I was like, you know, when you have a C-section, you're laid back like this, so you have your arms out. Well, all of a sudden it was like my body started shaking, and not like a little like this, it was like jumping around, and it scared me so bad. Like, I was like, what is happening to my body? Like, I wish someone would have told me that that was gonna happen before having a C-section. Apparently like it happens to people when they are in labor or go through labor also, because it's like your body's response to like the trauma that your body's going through. But like, I just wish someone would have told me that, because I wish I would have known to expect that. And so I didn't, and I thought I was literally like dying. I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't know if I'm cold, I don't know if I'm having a panic attack, I don't know what's going on, but I was literally like laying there shaking. And so that is when I started to be in tears, and I really couldn't speak. Hunter was like looking at me like, are you okay, are you okay? And I was just like, and like the doctor, I barely remember this, but like the doctor above me was like, are you okay, like do you need medicine? And apparently like I told him no, like I refused medicine for it. And I just laid there like shaking, and I was squeezing Hunter's hand so hard that at one point I finally got myself to calm down for maybe 30 seconds to a minute, and then all of a sudden like I started shaking again. And that was like the most traumatizing part, is like I'm going through all of this, meanwhile like all the nurses are just having a conversation over my like wide open flesh. And so anyways, that was really hard for me. And actually telling this story a few days later, I could not get through this part without just like bawling, because it was so emotional and so like traumatizing for me. And so yeah, it was really hard. But once I like got past that and like they finished the surgery and stuff, Hunter got to walk out with Beckett to the recovery room, and they told me, they're like, everything looked good. They told me that I had made the right decision because we had decided not to flip him previously. And she was like, you know, he was in there so tight in the position that he was in, he would have never flipped. And so I felt really confident that like me and Hunter had made the right decision. And I got rolled into recovery, and this is the part I have no recollection of. Like I have no idea what happened in there. I know that we took pictures, and I'm thankful that we took pictures in there, but like what was happening to me and my mind and my body and everything in the recovery room, I couldn't tell you what was going on, other than I know there were nurses in and out, there was medicine given to me, and I was still completely numb. I was actually numb for about 5 hours. They told me that it should go away within like 2, and I was numb for like 5 to 6, which scared the crap out of me. But I couldn't get out of bed for a long time. I was still hooked up to an IV for a while, and like I couldn't even really tell you when I got to get up, but I think it was 24 hours. I think I had to wait 24 hours to be able to get up and like shower and use the bathroom and stuff. But like I know we spent some time in recovery, and then I got rolled into like the official room that we got to like stay in overnight. And Beckett of course was there with us most of the time. His blood sugar was low at one point, so he did have to go into the nursery overnight one night, because they had to try to like get his blood sugar up. And so that was going on. And then all of his tests came back great. It was really good. And like the experience in the hospital, like I couldn't really do much. It was really hard for me to like get up and walk. They tell you not to use your core, and like that's basically impossible. You use your core to lift your arm. Like it's impossible to not use your core, but they told me to not use my core to do anything. And so getting up and walking around was like really hard, but they told me I needed to do it as soon as possible, like once I could get up, once they allowed me to. And I couldn't really get up and like change diapers and stuff, but watching Hunter be able to like change all the diapers and like just be a dad, it was amazing. And he did basically everything. And I tried to breastfeed, and it wasn't really working because having a C-section, your milk doesn't come in as quickly, and so there was like really nothing there. And also his blood sugar was low, so we were having to supplement with formula and stuff. And so like that was a whole thing. And there were doctors in and out, but I know there was one nurse we had. She was amazing. She was so sweet, and it was a really good experience looking back on it. But at the time it was really hard. But I really wanted to tell this story, one, because I just want to be able to remember it, because it was the most special time of my life. Like having Beckett be born, and now he's like almost 7 months old, and like it was the most special moment, and I wanted to be able to like remember it. And but also I wanted to be able to share my story, because C-section is one of those things that you don't hear a lot about, and when you do hear about it, you kind of hear negative things. I know that I've seen on social media and certain things where some people have made comments to other women who have had C-sections, like, you didn't really birth your child, or like you are making you feel like less of a mom because you had a C-section, or less of a mom because you didn't breastfeed, or less of a mom for any reason. And for me, like, I don't feel like any less of a mom. I will say there was a moment before I went into C-section, and I had those thoughts of like, I feel like my I feel like it's being like my motherly duty is being stripped away from me by not having a regular labor and delivery and by having a C-section, but that's completely not true. And I think that, you know, even if C-section is not necessarily the way that it's intended, I'm thankful that it exists, because less babies and mamas are likely to like have difficulties and like have emergencies because C-section is available, and because God has given us people who know how to do that and who can perform surgery and who can bring babies into this world without like losing them or losing the mom. And I feel just as much of a mom. Like, I don't feel any less because I had a C-section. And I hope that like if you are having a baby or already had a baby and you're having a C-section, or even if you didn't and you just like want to hear the perspective, like I hope you know that a C-section mom is a freaking superhero. Because even though it's not labor and delivery, and I can't speak for anyone who has had a full labor and delivery baby, I have friends who have, and their stories are incredible, but even though that's not what we have gone through being C-section moms, like a C-section is just as, I would say just as hard as far as the recovery and going through it, especially for someone like me who's never been in the hospital before. It was truly traumatizing, and I don't say that because I want to scare anyone. It's just, I wish I would have heard more stories about C-section, but I feel like people just genuinely don't normally share them when it's about C-section, because it's like, I don't know if they just don't feel like it's as special or what it is, but I think it's just as special. And I think if you're a C-section mom and that was your only choice, or that was a choice because of an emergency, or if you know, whatever, like, you are a superhero and you're amazing. And if you didn't have a C-section, you're amazing and you're a superhero. And the things that our bodies go through, it's incredible how our bodies just know what to do. And now all of a sudden it's like they can create milk and they can like literally do all these things. And like, it's so cool the way that our bodies are just made for this. Like, they're just made to have and carry and hold these babies. And so I just wanted to share my story because I want to be an encouragement and just let people know, like, C-section it can be scary, it can be nerve-wracking, it can make you feel like you're having like your womanly or motherly duty stripped away from you at one point. But when you look to God and you trust Him and you just like, you trust His purpose and that He can make all things come together for good, it's like you know that He can use your story and that He's going to give you peace. Because ultimately, you know, regardless of how you birth a baby, the recovery is going to be hard, and parenting in and of itself is going to be hard. But ultimately, you've created life, and the Lord has like knit this baby together in your womb, and it's a privilege to be able to birth a baby, no matter how you birth them, and know that like the Lord can use your story, because He can, and He can use it in one person's life or 50 people's lives or 50,000 people's lives. There's no telling like who your story could touch. And so that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm sharing. And so I really hope that you feel encouraged and that you feel confident knowing that like no matter how you birth your baby, or even what happens after that, that no matter how it happens, that the Lord is with you and that He can give you peace if you trust Him with it, and that there is purpose and joy in it, and that He can use every story. So thank you so much for watching. I have enjoyed so much talking about this because I love listening to birth stories, but telling my own has been so special, and I hate that it wasn't more like fresh on my mind. But honestly, I feel like this late I have like a perspective that a lot of people don't have when they tell their birth story and put it out there, because it's like immediately after. And now I have such a different perception looking back on it almost 7 months now, postpartum. And so yeah, thank you so much for being here. I love sharing my life and my stories to encourage people, and I hope that you'll stick around. If you want to, go ahead and subscribe, like this video if you felt it encouraging or that it helped you. And yeah, I hope that you have an amazing day, and I'll see you next week.